Good morning. This is the 60 Seconds to Serenity with Gregg Hammond. And today it is Friday, December 5th, 2018. We're starting off with the 60 Seconds to Serenity to begin your day, the series of tools that we've worked on since October. The idea is that you are working towards achieving and then maintaining a very calm and serene mind so that you can respond to things going on during your day. Whether it's things that happen with other people or just throughout your day. For example, if you bump into something, you want to respond. And if you are working toward calm, serene mind using 60 Seconds to Serenity, you're bringing yourself into a high vibration. And when you're in a higher vibration, you'll move calm and serene, but you'll be more effective because you're responding to things through your day. And so we've used our breathing in a particular way, just like the water coming in on a beach and stretching out nice and calm and then going back out. You're using your breath, you're intentionally breathing just like that, so that the calm, serene breath is just like the ocean, and with your mental faculties, you're using the positive affirmations and your gratitude, right? We've been teaming that together. That's the groundwork we've been laying since last year in October. For the gratitude, you're making the list, right? And if you've been with me for the past several weeks, you could be moving right along with your non-dominant exercise to writing down your list of gratitude. The 10 things on your list would be done with your non-dominant hand. In addition, we started with just the name, then you put the name and the information for the day of the week and the day of the month, the year, and then we added in these little by little. So if you've moved along from that point where you were doing just this exercise, non-dominant hand, and then you moved and added this where you're doing your gratitude with non-dominant, and that would be a very nice next level, right? If you've already gotten to that point. And then the next would be to write out the paragraph that I posted yesterday. I held it up so you could do a screenshot with the printed text so that it was easier to read. And this is from in 2016 of December. I was writing out non-dominant hand. I did a 90-day run. If you would like to go through a 90-day run as we come through the beginning of 2018 for the first quarter, I commend you on the choice that you are making, because it is a choice. It's a suggestion and a recommendation from me as to keep putting a little more challenge into what you're doing, right, by writing this out. Now, I wrote it out 6 times. All you have to do is once in the morning and once in the evening, so twice. But if you want to write out 5 or 6 times, usually most notebooks will have room for that, especially if you're using your calm, serene mind to allow your hand to go through the process of writing. And I recommend you print, because it's a little bit more challenging to print and get those lines as opposed to cursive, which a lot of people do. They've moved away from printing. So just for the challenge of that, you're printing all of these things, right, with your non-dominant hand. And I recommend you put the date and the day of the week and the number day that you're on. So if today is day number 1, you would put day number 1. If today is day 17, you would have that. If you need to backtrack on your calendar, it's worth it to take the 5 minutes to go back and determine where it was that you started, and then list those so you can see the progress, right? Now, the positive affirmations that we've talked about are, just for an example, I show you this card, right, where I have them written down. You could just write them down on a card or on a page that you're able to see and have around so that you can reflect back on them. These were just easy suggestions. I am healthy. That's one of the most important things for you personally, is to maintain your health, to increase your health. If you repeat this and put this into your mind, the power of your thought, which is incredible and isn't necessarily taught in school or anywhere. Most of the time we respond to the things going on around us, and it's instead of a response the way that it should be with a calm serene mind, a lot of times we react, and we don't put as many empowering thoughts as we have disempowering thoughts coming from outside of us, and we don't realize that power of the thought is an incredible power. And so that's what we're working towards, calming your mind, being able to respond, and being able to continue to plant fantastic thoughts, right? And so an empowering thought, I am healthy and I am happy, helpful. I live in paradise. We talked about why I say that, not just a paradise of a place, but the paradise inside you through what you're doing with your mental faculties. I put on here an empowering statement of my memory is very good, because that's one of the disempowering things that people say, often in a way to be humble or out of frustration, or as a way to sort of buy time when they've forgotten something. But it's a disempowering statement. And if your awareness is building up and you're paying attention to things that you're saying or thoughts that are coming through that you haven't necessarily said, but the thought is there, you would realize that these disempowering thoughts can be there. And so we're pushing them out with these exercises and adding in very powerful ones. So my memory is very good. My heart is always smiling. I choose wellness. And that's something that's interesting, because I choose wellness is making a very strong statement that a lot of people aren't even aware that they're actually choosing the opposite. And I'll just leave it like that for you to think about, right? To make your day flow smoothly, which will bring you to a day like today. Today's Friday. It's the end of the week for most people, working a 9 to 5. If that's the case, you have a weekend, and on the weekend, I highly recommend you do some writing, and then you do some reading. You do some reading, and then you do some writing. Audiobooks are fantastic. I've been recommending books as I go through these 60 Seconds to Serenity. I give you recommended readings. One of the things that we've talked about is the actual Serenity chapter in James Allen's James Allen's As a Man Thinketh. And there is a challenge to write this out. You can write it out with your dominant hand, your regular hand. It's going to take up about 2 pages for you to write this out. And if you want to start the new year, this is the end of the week. You're going to have a weekend, probably be able to squeeze in 25 to 30 minutes of some exercises, and I highly recommend reading through the Serenity chapter and writing it out. And when you do that, do the same thing. Put down the day and the time and the number of the day that it is for you. So that's something that you can read and write. If you're looking for books to read, I'd mentioned the Power of Awareness. Mention over here. I had a different copy that I was showing you yesterday, because I have tons of books and tons of copies of books, so I can read them in different parts of this guitar castle here in Washington, D.C. The Art of Living by Bob Proctor. This one's really good. So a couple of books there. Your gratitude list, go through. Make sure to include that, maybe on the weekend when you have some extra time. You could do a longer list, right? Sometimes as you start this exercise, all of a sudden there's a lot of stuff that you start to think about that you can put on your list. And then you outline top 6 things to do, right, for your day, right? And you sort of at the end of the day, you start thinking, oh, I forgot to do this or whatever. Write it down on a list. The top 6 things. You might find that writing down the top 16 things ends up happening. That's fine if it does happen. That's a good thing. And you want to try to go through that list. That's the main thing, your focus. Go through the list and get those things done. And don't stop until you get those things done. And if you have something that you didn't get done, it goes on to the next day. It may seem a little overwhelming if you get a long list like that, but if it's easier for you to remember, then put that on the list. That's what I recommend you do. So it's a Friday, and on the weekends I spend a lot of time teaching guitar students and coaching people. So on Saturday, Sunday, I generally don't do the 60 Seconds to Serenity. I just do the Monday through Friday to start off the day, so you have this to come back to, you have this to share. It's my way of giving back, passing along things that I've learned from all the teachers that I've studied with over the years. One of the most powerful things that I learned from one of my teachers in doing wilderness survival was the power of water and drinking plenty of small amounts of water. So I always run like a small sip like that, about a mouthful every 10 or 15 minutes, sometimes a little bit more. Just depends on how your environment is, but being consistent about putting in a little bit of water into the body. And instead of guzzling down a whole lot, which then sits in your stomach, you want a little bit at a time, right? Just to be regular about that. It's a repetition thing, so consistency of water coming in, right? Because your body is using that water all throughout your entire system, and your brain needs it so that you can think clearly and focus on the thoughts that you're allowing to spin around in your mind. The subconscious mind holds a vault full of thoughts that have come in because that's the way that the mind works. It brings those things in and it works them around, and you'll have them going around, and you may, when you start to build your awareness, you may find, wow, I had no idea that that was something that I was thinking often. And the idea of the 60 Seconds to Serenity tools is, as you do these, and I keep adding more stuff, you are slowly adding repetition, creating habits that are extremely healthy and extremely powerful to harness the power of your thought. And pay attention to each thoughts that are coming through your mind, and realize that that's where you have a choice, is to shift that. And over the weekend, a lot of people kind of get time to think about things. And as you're thinking about things, you may stumble along through a lot of people reflecting back on 2017. You may be aware of the fact that there are thoughts where maybe something occurred in the past year that was challenging. Maybe people or someone in your life, in your circumstances, work, relationship, or something like that. Somewhere there was frustration, and it was something that you find that you keep thinking about. Oh, could have done this, or should have done that, or wish that hadn't been that way. The best thing to do, the Reverend Michael Beckwith, great advice, and he said it, and it's been shared by many teachers. I've heard Bob Proctor say it a lot, right? It is what it is. Harvest the good and forgive the rest. Just let the rest go. And with coming into a new year, part of the power of that is that people really focus on that as a timeline, as a border of time, right? And you can let all of that go and focus again fresh. That concept of coming from one year to the next is something that you can actually compress, right? And use that instead of waiting a whole entire year or feeling fearful because or some negative emotion because you haven't accomplished something, or you started into a new year and then by March you feel like you haven't been on track, right? It's actually, instead of the timeline of the year, have the timeline of the week, timeline of the day, and then we compress that down and come all the way to 60 seconds to Serenity, where we go back to the breathing, slow and calm breath, where you're breathing out and then breathing in, and it's just slow and calm and paced out, just like those waves coming in on a beach and stretching out on nice kind of flat sand, and then you see the waves go back out. You're doing that with your breath while using all of these tools, all of these exercises of empowering thoughts, listing out empowering thoughts, listing out your gratitude, pairing that together, and then carrying that through the day. And the idea is that we're immediately able to use that to make a choice and respond to things going on, as opposed to reacting. By doing that, these exercises, and repeating them, you become better and better at keeping your vibration up, maintaining that in your awareness building, so that you become aware of things that are coming across your mind or throughout your day, and realizing that, wow, I actually have the choice. The choice really is mine to choose to respond. And so then with that 60 seconds, your day expands out and it becomes the full day, out to the week. Here we are on Friday. And then you have a block of time that a lot of people consider to be a separate segment of time, a weekend, right? Very powerful time to make some choices and pick something up, pick up a good book, and read something by a wise teacher. Bob Proctor's great, Neville Goddard's great, Thomas Troward's great. There are tons of them. Jack Canfield's got some great books, and I've showed a couple of those books during these videos that I've done here. The other thing is that there's some good news. You could do a 90-day challenge if you want to do a natural health revolution challenge, right? With me and a whole lot of other people. Let me know, and I will send you information. I've got when you have your water. Sometimes people have been drinking other things besides water, and making the shift is challenging, right? You're going to break a habit and create a new one, and that can be kind of bumpy, right? You have to stick with it and be strong, but sometimes you hit a bump, and that's the time that you want to remember, just begin again, begin again, begin again, begin again. You just start over. And it's always okay to start over and realize that adding a lot of water into your day is important. If you've been drinking a lot of soda, it will be different to drink water. If you like to add in very healthy stuff, because it's hard for you to sit down and have a very nutritious meal, one of the best ways that you can add food in is to have your food should not have any ingredients. Unless you are focused on some kind of healthy, intentionally produced, powerful nutrients, right? Something that has all the nutrients in there and is designed just for that, to help you add all of that into your body to keep the body healthy when you don't have a generous amount of time to prepare a healthy meal of single ingredient things. That's the way that you know that it's a healthy thing if it's just one ingredient, because that's the way that it got here, and that's the way that it has manifested and grown in this environment that we have here. When things get packaged and stored for a long time, that's most likely something like that is not the healthiest thing for you to be consuming. So you're thinking about what's going in to your body, you're thinking about what's going into your mind. With 60 Seconds to Serenity, I'm Gregg Hammond. I'm going to say peace, love, music. See you on Monday. Have a good weekend. If you know anybody who wants, you're welcome to share this with anybody. If you know anybody who would like to learn guitar, there are free guitar lessons for absolute beginners. It's a New Year's resolution for a lot of people to finally pick up the guitar, but sometimes it's a little nerve-wracking or inconvenient to get into a studio. I've been rated #1 in Washington, D.C. for well over a decade, teaching adults how to play guitar. I have a special system, and I've put that out there for free in videos where I walk you through it, and it's over on DC Guitar Lessons. That is one of my gifts to everyone for 2018. And in those videos that are posted there at DC Guitar Lessons, I take you through as a complete beginner, and then I add in some tips for people who have been playing, and bring you up to the point where you can play the peace anthem so that you are prepared for June 21st. If you don't know about the Global Jam for Peace, Google the Global Jam for Peace, either the number 4 or the FOR.com, and check out our community, our Facebook page, and the history of the Global Jam has been posted up there. You should check that out. Give yourself a few minutes to read that, and check out some of the photos from the past events. Mark your calendar for that event, and pick up an instrument. If you already play, then practice and get ready. Grab some friends, get them ready. Check out our challenges. You can post a video of you doing that, and there's some prizes that you can win for submitting your video or your audio. You can make just a recording of you singing it, or with some friends doing like a karaoke version. June 21st, it's the summer solstice. That is the day that 120 countries, 750 cities, and that's the number from 2016. We're going to have more for 27 or 20. That was the number from 2017 and 2016 actually, and going into 2018, we will have more than those numbers for countries and cities participating, and musicians everywhere. Check out the information on that. Love you guys. I'll see you on Monday.